In 2005, I'm teaching a course at a Southern Ontario university, a critical thinking course, 93 students. Everything's going well. It had occurred to me with the research that I had done at Harvard earlier in the 2000s, it seemed pretty obvious that the evidence was overwhelming for human origins, that the descent came from Africa. I mean, it was overwhelming. Spencer Wells was doing work with the Genographic Project with National Geographic, and he was taking swabs of hundreds of thousands of people around the world and checking out their DNA and finding everything led back to Africa. So for the first time we had genetic evidence. So the evidence seemed to me, to be overwhelming. The fossil evidence, the anthropological evidence, the developmental evidence, the patterns, everything was there. And so it occurred to me, all humans descended from common ancestors from the African continent. Darwin predicted this, and now we had overwhelming evidence. And as a professor teaching critical thinking, I felt obligated to write something on the board to get the students interested, to get them talking, to get them motivated. And those four words were, "We are all African." Not Africans, that seems to be of the present tense, but African, meaning that's where we all came from. And when I did that, a student put up their hand and said, "Yeah, but how do you know that?" So I said, well, all of the evidence, points in that direction. And the way in which science works is you follow the evidence wherever it leads. And where it has led my colleagues and I is to the conclusion that everybody, when you look around the room here and you see all your different features, different skin colors and tonalities, all of that coalesces back in Africa, 40, 50, 60, 100, 200,000 years ago. That means we're all related. That means we're all kind of like cousins. And I found this was a really important message that no other professors were teaching. In a single sentence with 4 words, it cuts across all racial boundaries and all human claims for privilege and status. And it made everybody equal in 4 words. I wrote them on the board and I said, if evolutionary theory is correct, and I believe it is the best account for how we've gotten here, then it follows that we all have to have descended out of Africa. So the student was indigenous.
Like Canadian?
Canadian, yeah. She said, my people wouldn't accept that. And I said, I get that. There's a lot of different Indian mythologies and spiritual beliefs about how their ancestors arrived, the turtle's back and the sky woman. There's a lot of different ways in which indigenous peoples believe to have originated. And I was up for a tenure track position. One had been created for critical thinking. So it was looking pretty good. I thought, wow, this is wonderful. About 10 days later, I got a registered letter in the mail, opened it up, and it was from the dean saying, basically, that particular indigenous student and 2 fundamentalist Christian students in the class got together and wrote letters and accused me of being racist and Eurocentric. And this was 2005 that this was occurring. What had happened was the position was retracted. It just sort of went away.